Oh, hey everybody. Welcome to the stream. I was
Are
going to
you
say
ready
welcome
for
to
some video games?
I was going to say welcome to the race, and I don't know why. I don't know
The
what
rate?
race this is. And
Well, I'm white.
you referenced Monday Night Football of all things.
It's because it was referenced in an episode of Mabim Bam I listened to earlier today. I would not have thought of that without that.
uh Speaking of Mabim Bam, by the way, viewers, I don't know if y'all listen to My Brother and Me, the podcast. It is one of my favorite podcasts. It
It's pretty
is,
funny.
yes, it is a grown-ups podcast, but it's a hilarious podcast.
Yeah, it's not for kids.
Yeah, which they mention only so those babies out there know how cool they are for listening.
Yeah.
What's up, you cool baby? That's the intro to the podcast, by the way. Their podcast, not our podcast. But
It's not basically mine at this point.
every year they name the year. Like they have an actual name. So, 2020 was 20 funny, fill your life with laughter and love, until about halfway through the year they realized, oh no, this is not happening this year, so they changed it to 20 honey, let's get down to business. And then 2021 was,
I don't even remember.
oh, I can't remember either. 2019 was Frankenstein teen become 20 Frankenstein become the monster.
Yes.
2022,
which was just last year, which is Surf the Vibe.
2 years ago. No, 2023.
Oh, you're right. 2020. It's 2024
was
now.
2020 C.
20 Sun and Sea.
20 Sun and Sea.
Surf the Vibe.
2022 was 20 Rendezvous.
There it is.
Yeah. So anyway, every year it's kind of either been like, here's what we want to do with this year, or it's just been like a vibe. Like, let's
a command or a vibe.
Yeah.
Do this thing, or let's just feel this way.
This year
is the best one.
The best one, unquestionably. They were riffing on ideas, and they wanted to do 20 fun galore, meaning let's have fun, like much fun.
Lots of fun.
Fun galore. But as they said fun galore, they realized it sounds like a mushroom wizard of some sort.
Some kind of mushroom creature, like a wizard. So it's fun galore. Fun galore, he has heard your wish.
Yeah, the tagline is, he's heard your wish.
It's the best.
It's the best.
I like how nothing, like how unrelated to anything, how...
I immediately went and created a stat block for fun galore.
Nice.
And I've been trying to, so I had Midjourney, but it just ended. Midjourney would have been the best for this, but I have Canva Plus, and Canva has an AI generator of image generator. And I've been trying to get it to generate a good fun galore, and I keep getting like a playful mushroom wizard, but I want to make him like because my background for fun galore, the whole he's heard your wish thing, is that he was originally a good entity. Yeah, quick, make NFTs and profit. Yeah, I wish if people still cared about NFTs, that would be a good idea.
Are you saying that if they still cared, you would make NFTs?
If they still cared, I would.
We have to have a talk.
Man, can you imagine if NFTs and AI image generation got hot at the same time?
They basically did.
No, AI image generation got hot just as the NFTs were ending.
I feel like it still existed, though. Are you saying that somebody
for sure
manually created all those stupid monkeys, those monkey pictures?
Yes. Are you saying they didn't?
I assumed it was just, let's AI generate a billion monkeys that are slightly different from one another.
No, man.
Somebody really wasted their time.
No, somebody really made a bunch of money. A bunch of dumb people.
A couple of people might have. Anyway, let's move past it.
Yeah, my point being that that fun galore used to be like a benevolent fairy who wanted to grant wishes, but then people's wishes started getting like way too serious, and there started being way too many of them, and you couldn't like meet all of them, and now he's been driven insane. And
Oh
so
no.
he's like granting wishes randomly and not like specifically. And so if you're just like, oh man, I wish I had, a hot dog right now, all of a sudden it'll be like raining hot dogs on you. And that's the campaign is like
A real monkey's paw
Yeah,
situation.
absolutely. And so you are going there to try and put Fungalore out of his misery is the whole idea. And I meant like he's a legendary creature. I gave him legendary actions. The actual like mushroom wizard part of him is just his presenting entity. Do you know what the largest living organism in the world is?
Yeah, it's that big like tree structure, right?
It's an entire forest worth of moss here in Oregon. Actually, I
Yeah.
found
Oh
out.
yeah, that's what I'm. Yeah, that's
And
what I
it's
was
like
thinking of.
miles and miles. That's Fungalore is like that. And this mushroom just
Oh,
pops up out of the ground, and that's just his like that's what you talk to, his representation. And he
sure.
can like teleport anywhere in the forest at any moment because
I
he's
see.
actually everywhere. So
He is the lord of that forest.
yes. Fungalore is a monkey with a monkey's paw power. Man, we could have been rich. If anybody cared about NFTs anymore. Some articles on some teenager making several 100,000 making NFTs as a part-time job. As a part-time job, man, that's just so wild to me. I can't even. Okay, pre stream topic before we actually get into our stream here.
Oh, that wasn't our stream topic.
I guess, yeah. Okay, fine. Pre-stream topic. We can do that. What do you think Fungalore is? Because they also said very specific. Fungalore is what you want him to be.
Fungalore is basically nothing.
Right.
As in, they didn't want to define who Fungalore is.
Because these guys are also D&D live play podcasters, and so they have learned the hard way that if they say something about a character, some people will take that as gospel. And if anybody else describes that character in a different way, i.e., sometimes their characters are drawn as people of color, sometimes their characters are drawn under or overweight, and then other people are like, no, he said in season 3, episode 2 that he was slim. And they've learned this, and they've had to like publicly say things like, no, just stop that. Anyway, they were very clear with Fungalore. He is who you want him to be. He's whatever you make him. It's fine. Anyway, so, hey, Fox, who's Fungalore to you?
John Stamos.
I almost spat. John Stamos is I mean,
Yeah. If you watch his career, like if you watch everything he's been in, and you will just occasionally just like there will be like 3 frames. The camera will cut to him, and for 3 frames, there's just a mushroom wizard standing there. But then it's not him anymore. Like then John Stamos is there, and I've always wondered why. A lot of Full House. I was just like confused.
Yeah.
But then I was just distracted by the funny goofs and whatnot.
of course.
Cut it out. Things, all that jazz.
Yeah.
But now we've learned he is Fungalore. So
always has been.
that's who John Stamos is.
And
And
then-
that's who Fungalore is. They are one.
And then there's the question, like, he hears my wish. What does he do with them? He turns it into beauty. That's what it is.
Right. Yeah.
look
Just
how
the
chiseled
most
and-
chiseled
Yeah.
looks
he's-
ever created.
He's like in his mid to late 50s and is still just an absolute smoke show.
Because all wishes at their core are the hope that John Stamos exists.
Right. Absolutely.
Every time you've made a wish, it is like it presents as something else, but really the base core of it is the hope and desire for John Stamos to exist perpetually, looking the same.
Right.
And
like,
he has so far continued to do that.
I hope my grandma recovers from this illness and does not
Mhm.
pass. But
Mhm.
really, what your heart is saying.
Really,
is,
what your heart is
I
saying
hope John Stamos lives forever.
lives forever and is continually beautiful.
Right.
You know,
Absolutely. Yeah, that
And,
makes sense. I'll give
that's
you
where
that.
we are.
Okay, chat. You let us know what you think Fungalore is. In the meantime, hey, we're gonna start a podcast. If you don't listen to Mabim Bam, I'm so sorry.
This is a weird intro.
This is a weird intro.
Go watch. It's a good episode to start on.
We are going. Yeah, exactly. Of Mabim Bam. Yes, it is a good episode. I thought it was a good. You're saying this is a good episode of Nerdy Gritty to start on. Us coming in and talking about another podcast.
Yeah.
We're going to be starting our podcast. During the podcast, we don't actually interact with the chat the way that we've been doing so far because we are eventually going to want to syndicate this, which reminds me, today I found out that as I was uploading some of our Twitch stuff to YouTube, I found out when you create a new playlist, now there's one that is a new podcast playlist.
Oh,
and I went through and I
interesting.
put all of our nerdy gritties in as a podcast. And so
Does it create an RSS feed or what?
I bet you it just pops up on Google Podcast. So I'm going to guess that Nerdy Gritty is on Google Podcasts right now.
Well, that's great.
I mean, the old one is, our old RSS feed already.
Sure, we should confirm at some point.
Yeah. Anyway, so that being said, we'd love to actually get an RSS feed and have this distributed to all podcatchers to resurrect our old RSS feed and whatnot. So you can go check out all our old episodes as well. But that means that it's not really good podcasting to listen to people talk to other people that you can't hear. So we don't actually interact with the chat, but keep putting things in the chat anyway. Put your comments in, put your thoughts in there, because after the podcast, either both of us, if we can, or Fox has to go get his boy who wakes up from a nap, just I will stick around and chat with you and go back through the chat and kind of comment on the things you guys are commenting on. And we will do a post-podcast discussion on all this stuff. So with that being said, let's start this podcast. Fox, are you just about ready to cast pods?
Yes.
All right. Then you have the pre-intro today, right? You said?
Yes.
Okay. In 3, 2.
Hello, everybody, and welcome.
Nope.
That's not the pre-intro, isn't it?
I believe in you.
Today on the Nerdy Gritty, we talk about the things we learned in 2023.
One more world disappears inside it. Just another hopeless addict. World that makes a man instead. If the drums don't get you, the guitars will.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Nerdy Gritty, where we delve deep into the details of pop culture. I am last year's Dez.
I am a fresh newborn baby 2024 Fox.
You still covered in whatever
Viscera
that weird,
and,
liquid, shining, gleaming
out of my birthing chamber.
Yes. And if you're listening on this as a podcast later,
have you ever seen The Matrix? It's like that.
He's just sitting.
It's like,
exactly.
It's like The Matrix.
Yes. And then he stood up and put on headphones and sat in front of a microphone and is now podcasting.
Oh, that'd be such a commentary on modern day. Finally, I'm free from the Matrix. Better see what the internet says.
Or I was going to say that everybody's voice is online from the moment they're born. Like,
that should have been The Matrix 4 right there.
There it is. Better than what we got.
It would have been a better movie.
Hey, but speaking of wild things to happen in 2024, you know what else happens as of 2024? Steamboat Willie, the original, drawing manifestation of Mickey Mouse, has entered public domain.
Yes.
With all of the fighting and legalese that Disney has tried to put out there, they could no longer fight it. Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse is finally in the public domain, which has meant I have here Infestation Origins, a co-op horror game in which you're an exterminator treating sinister infestations caused by twisted version of classic characters and urban legends.
Did you see the full story about this game though?
No, Infestation Origins? I did not.
Yeah, it was originally called Infestation 88. And it's about mice being killed with gas.
Oh.
So they have recently said we are changing it to Infestation Origins.
Oof.
If you don't know, 88 is a dog whistle for HH, Heil Hitler. It is commonly used by neo-Nazis as a way to signal to others their beliefs without it being broadcast in an obvious way. And it's just bad imagery anyway. But yes, this game is coming out, or in the works, I guess.
The rat infestation section of this game, the main villain is a horrific version of Steamboat Willie.
Yes.
There was also Mouse, Mouse, not Mous, as in the
Sure.
comic book, which is a first-person shooter in which you are going through a boat shooting various mice in black and white. Think of if Cuphead was a first-person shooter in black and white, and was also gory, I guess you can call it, if it's in black and white. Like these heads of mice pop in this, and it actually looks kind of fun. Genuinely, it does. There's also Mickey's Mousetrap, which is a really horrible looking horror movie, like classic 2001 slasher film of a guy who works or a bunch of teenagers who work at looks like a Discovery Zone monkey house type.
Also, yeah, Monkey King.
Yeah, Monkey King type place.
Yeah,
and
one
arcade.
of those. Yeah.
And then after hours, the teenagers who work there are getting killed by a guy in a Steamboat Willie mask.
They're essentially saying, well, I want to make my own Five Nights at Freddy's, but I'll just use this free IP that just came out for the recognition.
It's like Scream, but instead of Ghostface, it's a Mickey Mouse
mask.
Well, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what every slasher is based on Halloween, but...
Is it really? Is Halloween kind of the original there?
As far as like the current understanding of slash, I mean, there are knife-wielding killers in other movies, but the idea of just a masked killer with a knife killing, Halloween is essentially the original, basically.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Man, it was good. So, with that being said, we thought, hey, why don't we take a stab at it and see... Yeah, thank you. And see what we can come up with in the Steamboat Willie IP. So, first we have to pick a genre. That's the most important thing here. What genre of... Well, actually, no. Video game, movie, book, what are we making?
Well, okay. I want to start with a tone, actually.
Okay.
Because all of these things that have been announced are all horrific.
Right.
Because I think they're going for the edgy, whoa, you didn't expect that. But
it's the very, very cliched, this is a children's beloved thing that now we're tainting with violence.
It's the same as the Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey.
Right.
Yeah, which I watched 10 minutes of and stopped.
I'm so sorry.
When you know me,
yes.
Me stopping watching a movie, that is saying something, because I will watch trash.
He really, really will.
Everybody. It was bad. It was so bad. Yes.
Man.
Anyway, so I want to go the opposite direction. I want to still have this positive idea, but I want it to be what I'm thinking of. The thing that I went with was, it could be anything, a movie, video game. We could talk about the details, but like there are more and more public domain things happening, beloved characters. What if it's like a cinematic universe, but of public domain characters? Not saying multiple movies. I'm just saying Mickey Mouse has been released. Steamboat Willie has been released from prison on this IP island, and now is trying to rescue his friends and leave. Or like it, that sounds a little horrific still, but
yes.
In a positive sense. It's like the island. I'm thinking the Island of Misfit Toys from the Christmas movie, that kind of thing, where it's like all these characters. So Winnie the Pooh shows up, whoever else. I think Peter Pan is in the public domain. I'm pretty sure
Disney IPs, is that what we're looking at? Peter Pan for sure is, but
whatever popular beloved cartoons and stuff.
Okay, cartoons in public.
The fact that it doesn't have to be Disney. That's the whole point. And they're nobody anymore. They're not.
I mean, Popeye the Sailor, Felix the Cat. Let's see. Yeah, there's a ton. Cinderella. Goofy.
There you go.
Apparently is
Goofy. George Geef.
No, that can't be right.
Well,
anyway. That's good. I like this idea. So let's go with that. Okay, so Steamboat Willie is now on the island of public domain, right? And he is there.
Yes.
And there's some things that Steamboat Willie is familiar with. Some people like Winnie the Pooh and Peter Pan and whatnot. But it's an escape movie. So it's an action escape movie where he is the hero trying to get the IP he's familiar with back into the safety of Disney or whatever, you know.
Oh, interesting. You're saying Disney is the good thing.
Well, Disney's his home. And maybe that's what he learns. Maybe while he's there, he learns that IP Island isn't as bad as he thinks, and that,
Oh,
or maybe okay, no. Here's what happens on the island. He learns that there's that Disney is more broken than he thought it was. That
there it is.
yes,
Yes.
he wants to
Hold
get
on.
everybody back there, but Winnie the Pooh and Peter Pan are like, hey man, this place is terrible. Yes, it's awful, and we're being made to do terrible things. But that place wasn't great either. You
This
think it
is-
was great because you're you. It wasn't that great for us.
This is a Truman Show situation.
Okay.
This is Truman Show, but it's Disneyland. And so they think they have this wonderful, great life where every day they go and entertain people, but they realize after a certain point something changes, and they like find a door they have never found it before, and it just leads to outside. It doesn't have to be literal Disneyland, Anaheim.
Right.
I'm saying like this, whatever island, and then it's just out in the wilderness, and it's this idea of like, do you stay where it's safe and comforting, even if it's a prison, or do you go out into the unknown but be free? I mean, it's like 5 million dystopian books ever. It's all of them.
We're getting into the anything can be good area here because I'm actually like, we wanted to have this conversation to think of something stupid and ridiculous, but now I'm like, no. Political
Wait a minute.
commentary. Political
Wait a
commentary.
minute.
Wait. Okay, here's what can happen here. Ready? He goes to the island of public domain, and on this island he sees that he's used to his safe, he just plays with the kids, he's wonderful. He goes and he sees that these people that he loves are being made to do terrible things, like murder in a movie or become a villainous rat or whatever.
Sure.
Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And they're being made to do all these terrible things, but at the same time they're now free to do things they've never been before, like say things like, hey, maybe we shouldn't exploit people. Maybe we shouldn't do that. And he's feeling some sort of like some freedom in this as well. And now he wants to reconcile both of these things. And he wants to take things that he learned on the island of public domain back to the land of Diz and
land of Diz. Now it's getting into Kingdom Hearts territory.
Yes.
You're saying this is like Winnie the Pooh chose to be in Blood and Honey.
No.
They weren't forced to. They wanted to because it allowed them to make a choice for their own. Even if they weren't on board for the violence, it allowed them to make their own decision.
And my point is that there's a balance there. Winnie the Pooh did not want to be in Blood and Honey, but he did. Christopher Robin was a Disney film still, but Christopher Robin was actually a movie about the horrors of war and PTSD and whatnot. And like, you can also do that. Like, you can do those types of things.
Life doesn't have to be just one thing.
Right. And so
there's your tagline.
Steamboat Willie is learning that he has always been a kid's joyful thing, but if he wants to, he can also stand up for something he believes in now.
He can contain multitudes.
Yes.
He can also be a murderous rat.
If he wants to. A leader of rat. A rat king,
That's a whole thing. I like this. I'm thinking, though, this is an animated movie, and all the characters have their original animation style.
So, like Who Framed Roger Rabbit style.
Well, no, well, sure. I mean, that would incorporate live action. I'm thinking more like Across the Spider-Verse, or where they all look different and have their own animation style, but they're all on screen simultaneously.
Yeah,
and it just lets it go wild. I think that would be really fun looking. Could be a video game also. Anything could be a video game.
Right, of course. But I think this goes better as a movie, and kind of like what we're actually saying in the movie is, you don't have to do one of the two extremes. It doesn't have to be Disneyland or a horror slasher.
It doesn't, or a slasher
like
movie.
It doesn't you don't have to do one or the other. You can be right. You can say, you know what? Let's do some good with this.
Creativity allows you to do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And not feel the need. Yeah. Boom.
Okay. This is great.
Hollywood. Wait, hold on. This is just public IP. We're just going to make this now.
But also TM, IPTM. We
Oh,
claimed this. We made this up. If you do this story, you owe us money.
Conceptual
This is
TM.
like this is the first time ever where it's kind of true, where we can claim because this is all public domain. This doesn't belong to anybody. We can actually say this is our idea, and if you make this movie, you owe us money for.
We're gonna be billionaires.
We're gonna be heirs, dollar heirs. Well, I don't know what is it if it's less than.
I think
10?
I already am that one.
But okay, so we got it. We got it. What's it called? That's the final thing. Is we got to come up with the title. What's the title of the film?
Escape from the Magic Kingdom.
Okay.
Freedom from no.
I'm thinking today we got a lot of just like really intense one word like steamboat. And that's it, you know? It's and that's the thing. It's all about he wants to get everybody back on his steamboat to sail back out of there, but they won't go. And it's
here's what I got it. Release the Willy. Free. Wait, hold on. No, Free Willy. That's not a thing, right?
That's exactly what it is. How old is Free Willy? When's the last time they made one of those? Can we take that name again?
I don't know. That feels like one where there probably is like a straight to streaming every 3 years.
Right, so they just keep the name. I don't know. I'm sticking with Steamboat. I think we're
okay. Sounds great.
Okay. Hey, Fox, what's been going on in the world of the news, my friend?
Hey, you ever play? There's this game that was invented a while ago. It's called Tetris.
No!
Have you heard of it? I stole it.
This is why we talk about our things beforehand normally. Dang it! This is
all right. It's fine. It's fine. We can talk about this. Tetris, classic video game Tetris, a movie about its like not creation, but like the ability to have the rights to play Tetris and sell it. It came out last year. It was fine. It was a fine movie, but somebody, a streamer named Blue Scooty, I guess is how I'm going to pronounce it.
Yeah.
First person to ever beat Tetris, to ever actually see the kill screen of Tetris. It happened just a week or two, like pretty recently, a couple days ago. Yes, Tuesday. This was, I think, a week ago. No, yesterday. It was just yesterday as of recording this. So we the very first person to actually see the kill screen on Tetris. If you don't know, a kill screen is essentially like old video games, like arcade games and whatnot. Basically, they would play forever until their memory ran out. And then you would see what was called a kill screen, which was essentially it can no longer support the game. Yeah, the game cannot, and so it basically glitches out and you can't play anymore. And this was the very first person to ever see
human, yeah.
Every human
AI's
to ever actually see the kill screen of Tetris, and they are. I mean, I don't really think this is a big deal as much as it seems to be in this article I'm reading about it. But they're 13, but that just makes sense. There's like,
oh no, this is a huge deal because before this, human beings had only ever gotten to, I believe it was level 30. Yep. In 2010.
No, obviously this is a huge deal. I'm just saying, they're 13. Okay. That's great. They're playing video.
The fact that he's 13, he's been playing for a couple of years. Yeah.
I'm going to disparage him because he's young.
I watched the last like few minutes and it was really cool because like I'm just clicking through this 40-minute video and you see him and he's this face, kind of like whatever. And then you see him like I clicked forward and now he's like sitting upright. And then I click forward and he's got like the wide-eyed, no blinking. And then it finally just glitches and he goes,
yeah.
And you can see he immediately wants to cry. Like, and I'm like, yes, like I'm cheering for this kid all of a sudden, right? Like, and it was super, super cool to watch. It was great.
Yeah, there's been some new methods in how to play Tetris that have really kind of come out in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
One of them, I saw a thing about one of them called rolling, where you just hold the controller in this really weird way, and so it's just very impressive. And also, I thought I was good at it when I was that age, and I apparently am not. Played a lot of Tetris on the original Game Boy, and I thought I got pretty good, but I guess I was just good because I beat my mom at Tetris. Don't take that out of context.
She let him. It was
That very well might be true.
You did it, but good job.
We're gonna put this Game Boy right on the fridge,
so that you're not playing it all the time. We're gonna put it on
right.
top of the fridge.
You need to stop.
But no,
it's too much Pokemon.
Seriously awesome. Congratulations, Blue Scooty. On another man, this was something I just remembered out of nowhere. So this is my article now. On another note, I don't know whether to say this is good or bad or maybe just like a let's see what happens. China to ban some monetization and engagement tactics in games.
Yes.
So this is something that we had like thought about.
This could be a whole article or a whole episode, actually.
Right, but I'm just not sure exactly what we would say. But China has like passed something that isn't in effect yet. But I'm trying to look. Where's the list of things that it is going to ban?
You sent it to me before.
I did send it to you before. I'm sorry. So this is what happens when, again, we don't discuss our.
Yeah, it makes a bad podcast.
Yeah, here you look it up real quick if you can, because if I minimize my screen, it's going to ruin the stream.
That's not it. I found it. Here we go.
Cool. So can you read the list of things? I know that loot boxes, no loot boxes for people under 18. There can be no daily rewards. You can't have daily rewards in your game.
Yes, there's no like the login rewards that a lot of games have these days, MMOs and stuff. Box. Yes, where you will log in, just get something for pressing the right button.
Really what it is over time, particularly mobile game industry is taking advantage of psychological studies,
yes,
like the Skinner box, to manipulate people. So the Skinner box test was a psychologist named Skinner was noting that, maybe psychologist, whatever it was, a scientist named Skinner did a test where there was a food box and there were animals who could get food whenever they wanted. They could just walk up to that food box and eat it and no big deal. Or there was another food box that 3 times per day a light would turn on and they could walk over and push a button and food would come out. And they found that the animals more consistently returned to the box to hit the button than the animals who could get it whenever they wanted. And it created that compulsion of wanting to go back to receive that reward.
Right.
And they started abusing that in mobile games with the daily rewards. And then loot boxes, of course, hit that gambling part of our brain. So did I miss anything? There was loot boxes.
No, those are the major things there. I'm looking at it right now.
The
whole idea is really to reduce spending on video games. That's the big goal, but I'm sure there will be other consequences.
Now, again, you have the article in front of you, so I'm going to quote, and you got to correct me. I believe it said that Tencent's estimated loss is in the 80 billion range.
Yeah. Yes.
So Tencent,
new rules. It's not just Tencent. New rules, which effectively set spending limits for online games, sparked panic among investors, wiping off nearly 80 billion in market value from China's. Oh, it's not just Tencent; it's 2 companies. So yeah, because of the panic that this caused, because these huge companies are so reliant on these methods of monetization, $80 billion disappeared from the value of those stocks, which is, if you don't know, quite a bit.
Massive. That's billion with a B, folks.
Yes.
And it also sets this precedent of, even if you find new manipulative ways to get people to spend money, China is ready to say, no, we are not allowing manipulation to make people spend money. And again, this is something that here in America, as a completely capitalist society, we would never, ever do something like that. Like that would stop the bottom line. It would stop market stuff. And so I don't think we'd ever do something like that. So but I kind of think
we regulate things like that. I could see this happening here. I could see it happening here. Yes, absolutely. I'd be on board.
Oh, 100%. Yes.
Here's the thing. It doesn't, just obviously we should have a bigger conversation. This should be our next episode, I think. Now that I'm thinking about it, there's a lot to talk about here. But
okay.
Here's the thing. It would not eliminate Skinner box models. It would eliminate spending actual money on those things.
Right.
So I play gacha games all the time. I will I love them. I just don't spend money on them. I will play the game get the currency in the game that allows me to do it. Obviously, it's a slower method than just spending cash dollars.
Right.
But I love that dopamine hit of what did I get? Oh, it's something good, or oh, it's just a whatever. I like that, and I'd be way on board for those games continuing to exist, but just purely going, I would pay $10 for that mobile game, 20. Not, I'm just saying in hypothetical, if it's one I really liked, I would rather pay $20-$30 for a mobile game that has the gacha mechanic that I don't have to pay for, that I wouldn't be expected to pay for in the game. That would be what I would prefer. Ultimately, that's going to make the company less money. That's the whole idea of gambling like this, is that you're ultimately the house always wins. But I don't know. I would love if this kind of thing took place in the States also.
That's a really good point, talking about how it's not a financial thing for a lot of games, because Marvel Snap is one that I think does it really well.
Sure.
Where the only advantage that money can give you, there's plenty of ways to spend money, but the only advantage that money can give you is access to a single card early once a month.
Right.
And that's it. You get early access to one card a month, and that's it. And which obviously then changes the meta pretty quick against that card. And so even then, it's not the biggest advantage on the planet.
Right.
And so other than that, it's all aesthetics and titles and things like that. And so
yeah, and I would be very surprised if they are not rolling in cash now.
Absolutely, yes. And so I don't spend any of my real money on Marvel Snap ever, but I log in. I log in every day, at least twice a day, every single day. And so it is going to overtake Slay the Spire as my most played video game ever, I'm pretty sure.
Sure.
So it's crazy to think of it that way of, okay, what if we just say it's as long as it's not a money issue, you don't get currency that you can also spend money on. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is in-game currency that is not something you can buy.
Okay.
Because effectively that would be, might as well just spend cash. That's just spending cash.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying is, like, I don't mind a gacha mechanic. I enjoy a gacha mechanic from time to time, but I would end up giving them more money, is how it would be, because I would buy the game and then just play it. You know?
Yeah. Okay, we can't talk about this too much if we want to make this a.
Yeah, we'll do it next time. This is a good topic.
We have plenty to talk about later with our lessons of 2023. So, Fox, are you ready to get down to the nerdy gritty?
I am.
Let's get down to the nerdy gritty then. So, 2023 is over. It has been a year, as every other year has been a year.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's as of today, 3 days over. Every year we have a tradition of looking back at the year before and talking about the lessons that we learned from that year. And it's funny because I'm like, yeah, for example, man, I can't remember any of the other ones I've talked about. So really, I guess I didn't learn those lessons very well, did I?
Obviously, when we talk about lessons we learned, we are not talking about personal, like, here's the lesson that I did this thing. We're talking about lessons from, like, the gaming industry or
right.
You know, things like that. The big kind of events that taught us something about how, you know, going forward, here's how things need to change or whatever it might be.
Yeah, and then predictions on what's coming. And
sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, Fox, what is your first lesson of 2023?
I'm going to get into a big topic right off the bat here.
Ooh, okay.
AI is only as evil as the person using it.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's the lesson that we've learned, because obviously for a while, people were kind of shocked by things like Midjourney, things like DALL-E. I remember we talked about DALL-E 2 or whatever as a topic, and we were just like, this is crazy. In retrospect, now that we've learned more about it, now that I've learned more about it, it's impressive, but it's really just like taking other people's work and just making its own. AI doesn't actually produce things. It just kind of makes amalgamations of other things that have already been produced. And what we talked about in that episode was, we kind of came to the conclusion that something like Midjourney or something is essentially a fancy paintbrush. It's still a tool being used by somebody else. It's not, you know, in and of itself evil. And I think we've seen over this year that there are ways that it can be used that are pretty despicable, where it's just like, we're a game company that has billions of dollars in the bank, but we're going to fire people and just use,
Right.
generate art, no problem. Or it can be used. I was listening to an episode of Triple Click, a video game podcast recently, and one of them was talking about like, yeah, I have this other side business, and I've been using this AI thing as like an administrative assistant. Like, I can't afford to pay somebody to do this. I want to do that. Eventually, that's what I want to do, but I can't, I'm not there yet. So right now, I'm just saying, hey, organize my calendar. And
Right.
AI does it for me. And it's like, it's like, that sounds really cool. Like, that sounds
Yes.
very useful. And so AI is not like a doomsday thing, like some people want to make it out to be at this point. AI has never had an original thought, and it still does a pretty bad job when creating artwork. They usually have to edit things still. And so really it just comes down to who is using it and why. And I'm obviously, some industries should panic because it can be used by, big business people who are more than willing to throw people under the bus to save $1.
Right.
But it is not inherently just this like, oh, well, everybody's gonna, we should just ban it altogether or, leave it behind.
I agree with your statement. AI is only as evil as the person using it. I think I agree with you that it's something we have learned in 2023. We have seen over and over again the many wonderful ways AI has been used. I've used AI to generate all kinds of images and fun stuff like that. And a lot of people are like writing, they'll say, hey, here's all the blogs I've ever written.
Mhm.
Now write a blog in my style, please. And now they've been able to help like streamline their own work process, things like that.
Yeah.
And so, but I will say that it is a tool that allows, evil people. I believe in total depravity. We're all
Sure,
evil.
I understand what you mean. Yes. When I say, yeah,
that allows evil people a much stronger tool to do negative things.
a way easier way to just rip people off,
Right.
and just
And
be bad.
I've said that I would not be surprised if 10 years from now we've reached a point in our culture in which we've come full circle, where it used to be, I only believe things that I see with my eyes and hear with my ears. Then, well, I believe what the newspaper tells me. Well, I believe what the internet tells me. Well, I believe what Twitter tells me. But now with AI, I feel like we're going to come all the way back around to I only believe what I see with my eyes and my ears,
Which
because
would be a great,
AI can generate everything. Like
Literally
AI can
anything.
generate anything. So
yes.
yeah, it's going to be crazy. But no, I agree with you. It is not the panic button that I think a lot of people want to hit right now.
Pump the brakes and recognize that it is useful even in the video game industry. I'm really hoping that we get to this point where it's like, AI is perfectly fine if the actual people developing and crafting the game are the ones that determine how it is used.
Right.
Say, I don't want to write a billion throwaway lines. Okay, well then you talked about it with Harry Potter, with Hogwarts Legacy or whatever. Then okay, just have this pump out 100 lines and done. That's not worth our time here.
Yeah.
We have deadlines, and there might be a way to reach those deadlines easier without crunch, without these things, if we shunt off some of this more brain dead development task to AI, things like that.
Yep. Yeah. It's smart.
Yeah.
You went pretty serious, so I'm going to go a little less serious with my first one.
Cool.
Something that, and I'm not going to say that we learned this in 2023. I'm going to say it's a lesson that started like they turned the light on. They put it in neon this time. They put some spotlights on it. IP is king. IP is king. And we see this in what Fortnite has become, with Fortnite Lego, with all the IPs they cross over with, Magic the Gathering, and what they've been doing.
The Fortnite of card games.
With the success of Lorcana and how much people have been like clamoring to get that. With TV shows like the Sony TV show, Last of Us, and the Mario movie. Like, these are things where if somebody loves the IP already, they're willing to forgive a lot of other stuff. And again, this is something that we knew. But I think 2023 is the year that people, companies really took that and ran with it in huge ways.
Warner Brothers in a huge way.
And we saw it's been kind of cool. I'm not mad at it.
I mean, I don't know. I think it can have a detrimental effect. It can create just this kind of IP mush. And I think a lot of that is like how Warner Brothers will do things where it's like, let's make Space Jam 2, which I don't know if it was 2023. I don't even remember. It's a weird movie, but they're just, instead of like Space Jam 2, it's in cyberspace, and therefore all of our IPs can exist. And now we've got the guys from Clockwork Orange and the Penguin from the original Batman cheering on a basketball game. Like, this makes no sense, and it just feels like a way to generate like clickbait articles and things like that, where it's like, it's got stuff about it, and also it's crazy and weird. But they did that with lots of things where like that's kind of what Warner Brothers is these days. And I feel like it's just being used in a way that is like, we have these IP, let's just find out a way to milk everything for as much value as possible. So they did kind of the same thing with the Matrix 4 a little bit, but anyway. So I obviously, and I'm also on board for things like Magic the Gathering, bringing in the Marvel, or like, I like that personally. I'm a fan. I don't have much allegiance to the lore of Magic. Not saying it's bad, not saying it's, it is very interesting, but I'm okay with, Final Fantasy cards. I think that's fun. So I think there's just like, it is not a black and white issue. I think there's some area where it could be used well, or sometimes it's just exploitation.
I think that it succeeds most when it honors the IP. The reason the Lord of the Rings one was so cool was, number one, the art was spectacular.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
Number two, the hobbits produced food. And that's like, that makes sense.
No, the flavor, right? the mechanics really worked well together with the actual concepts that they were introducing.
You could have 9 Nazgul in a deck, things like that just make sense to the lore. Or like Lego Fortnite is something that's really popular right now, and it's all about building with Lego, but also with the Fortnite. Fortnite's more of an engine these days, like in the Fortnite engine.
Yes, it's a platform.
And so there's ways that this has happened that continue to honor the IP. It's why I love part of why I love Lorcana so much is I was talking to somebody earlier, and he said Lorcana almost brings Magic's tribal mechanic to it with movies, where the 7 dwarves all synergize with each other in awesome ways. The 3 Musketeers synergize with themselves in awesome ways. Madame Mim and Merlin synergize with each other in awesome ways. And it not only honors this original IP of like the Madame Mim and Merlin ones feel like they're chasing each other, where you're playing one which brings the other back to your hand, but then you play that one again, so you need to play another one to bring that back to your hand, and like you're just bouncing them back and forth like that, and it feels like a chase, like a fight, like the Madame Mim Merlin fight. And so when you honor the IP in this way, it becomes super fun. I'm like stoked for the Marvel Magic set, because Magic is a great place to be able to bring in really great mechanics that honor the original IP. And it's why Marvel Snap has been so fun. And so I think that there's a lot of really, really cool ways to be able to honor the original IP, as well as have some really great crossovers. But I agree with you, when it becomes a shill, when you get things like Space Jam 2.
Space Jam is that. 100% this.
Then you can tell, like you can feel it, and it's not great anymore. So
yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, I would say that Ready Player One is a similar idea, where it's just, look at all the cool stuff you like. Not saying, look, you might like it. That's fine. That's fine.
Well, what I was going to say,
I do think it was just the movie itself was just like, look at all this cool stuff. The plot was nothing really. Like, it just kind of standard.
Right. And that's different. We don't need to get in that conversation.
It's different. Yeah. That's not
the
company using. That's a person who loves these things putting them in their book.
Right.
That's not the same. The movie. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. So the IP is king. That's my first lesson of 2023.
Here's my next lesson. Here's our next lesson. Video game developers really need to lock down their situations. There were so many huge leaks in 2023.
That's what you mean.
So many. That's what I mean, is that there are so many huge leaks of these. Obviously, Grand Theft Auto was probably the biggest one. There was huge Grand Theft Auto leak way before 2023, but even in 2020, like they had announced we're going to be putting out our trailer, but then somebody at the company basically leaked it a day or two beforehand, and so Rockstar said, okay, it's out now. Things like that. There was the huge Insomniac leak that came out just like a week before the end of the year, where it's just like, hey, here's Wolverine, here's our plan for the next 10 years of all these games, and just all of this stuff that is being leaked, which I'm not going to say I don't think is like, I'm saying the lesson is for the developers. If they want to keep their stuff secret, if they want to surprise people with what they're doing, which I think does help a little bit, and I don't like the hype cycle. I'd rather them just say, hey, here's this new game, it's coming out in 3 months, rather than here's this game that's coming out in 7 years, but here's a logo for it. Bethesda.
Nintendo also.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah, I mean, Cyberpunk, all this stuff.
Not so.
I'm saying that no, there was Last of Us leaks, but
I thought you meant putting out a logo and doing nothing with it after that. Is what I mean.
Not as much, that's for sure. Yeah. But like if you want your stuff to hit really well, to be a surprise, to be something people look forward to, also people don't understand that when a game is in development, it is not going to look like the end product, either because it's not there yet or because things can drastically change in the middle of development.
Or especially if it's a leak. Like if that whatever you're watching wasn't even meant to be seen. Like
Exactly, 100%. And so the problem is people are unwilling or unable to understand that. And so something comes out and they say, well, this game looks like trash. And now they have this preconceived notion of what this game is going to be years before it comes out, and that is not helpful for your situation.
Can you imagine if you were a painter and somebody commissioned you to paint something, and then they were like halfway through it, and then somebody kicked in your door, took a picture of it, and ran out, and then showed it to your people and was like, "Look how trash this looks." It's like, I'm not done.
Or if you watch like a NoClip, their documentary on how they brought back Doom in such a, in the 2016 Doom, you can watch like gameplay from their original version of Doom 4, which was basically like more of a Call of Duty-esque, like cinematic, like cover-based shooter. And then they took it back to the drawing board and obviously changed it drastically for Doom 2016. But if somebody just like saw that original gameplay and said, wow, this game looks like trash, not gonna, obviously they can change their mind, things like that, but that's not going to help the it's not going to help Bethesda or id Software or whatever. Like, so lock your stuff down. I personally just, whenever I see leak in the title of something, don't care. Moving on. I'm not interested in this. It's going to tell me very little about what's actually going to come out. So maybe the lesson for just the audience is, why? What are you doing? What's the point of this? Like this, aside from internet clout, you're not helping anything in any way.
I feel like it's one of three things here. And it's either number one, the hackers are incredibly good and they're able to make their way through
nothing's going to be perfect.
Strong security and grab this stuff. I feel like when you are a software company, that shouldn't be the case. That more often than not, I understand there's a big difference between entertainment software and security software, but you should at least have a relationship with another software company that does security software that you're able to like, anyway. Number two, and I'm guessing this is the actual one. They're keeping this on a shared Google Drive in their company.
I don't know about that.
Like not literally that, but my meaning that it's just like there's just they don't expect it. They're not prepared to fight against it as much. Or number three, somebody's paying off somebody in the company. And
inside job for sure.
Yeah, inside jobs. And
there is also the conspiracy theory that they could just be scheduled PR intentional leaks, but there's no evidence of that. So
I think the best way to combat this as a community is to treat it the same way that people like that the media has finally started to treat murderers, and that is don't say their name, don't give them
Yep.
nicknames.
Just disregard.
Yep, and just say things like 3 people were killed and we're looking for a suspect and things like that. And so in that situation, oh, somebody leaked something. Cool. That
Okay.
was leaked. All right, we got to move on. Just don't
care.
Actively, purposely don't pay attention. Don't talk about the person who shared the leak in the first place. Like, just let it go and move on. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, now on to my more serious one. 2023, I think, it's a phrase that we've used all throughout our podcast, but I think it's finally the year that this is really becoming a very serious consideration that we need to have, and that is vote with your wallet. In as much as Hasbro laid off thousands of people, they're sending literal Pinkertons into people's houses.
Yeah.
Unity is trying to exploit the people that are using the people who are trying to make games from scratch out of nowhere. You know, a guy in his basement just trying to put something together out of a passion project. Unity is trying to exploit these people. Various video game companies have had hundreds of people laid off because they know that we can do this and still get away with. I think Hasbro's the one that is the most clear that they can do this and get away with it. With the whole Pinkerton thing, they just never talked about it.
Yeah.
They never mentioned it, never talked about it, and then they released Lord of the Rings, and it was forgotten about, basically. No issue. There was a statement given, and then that was it. Nothing was done after that at all. And we as a community need to stop blindly giving money to things because we like it. I think that 2023 has taught us that if we can't get mad at Hasbro and then continue giving them money. We can't get mad at Unity and then continue giving them money. But that's exactly what we do. That's exactly what we do. We get so mad and we get outraged and then we keep giving them money. And which is why, something I've tried to do is that's a big reason why I went over to Lorcana, and I've been playing a lot of Lorcana, and a big reason why I've been all my D&D stuff is either stuff that I make up, or I've started playing Avatar Legends with my family. We've gone over to a different system, and in different ways, just start doing something that makes the company not look at their community, but look at their bottom line, because the bottom line is really what they care about. And it's time for us to start voting with our wallet in a very serious way.
I obviously 100% agree with you. I've gotten back into Magic and I'm having a lot of fun with it. So obviously you're wrong.
Yes.
And they're fine. Right. And they're going to learn their lesson.
Well, and then I just talked about how excited I am for the Marvel one, right?
Yeah.
I am.
That's the hard part,
man. It's going to be tough.
Yeah. So at a certain point, the show, The Good Place, I don't know if you ever watched it.
Yeah.
At one point, they talk about, wow, everybody's going to the bad place. Nobody's going to the good place. And the reason turns out to be, spoilers, I guess, for the show, is that in this super interconnected world, that it's very difficult to do something and not have it negatively affect somebody in the world, especially when you buy something. Unless you are very specific in how you spend your money, generally your money is going to go to somebody or some company that exploits or does not have good business practices. And so I think really, what we have to do at a certain point is admit that we have a line. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that line is, I'll give money to this company, but not that company. That kind of thing.
That's a really good point, actually, because we can stand here and yell about Hasbro laying people off. Well, chances are we're wearing clothes that were made by slaves,
100%.
Things like that. And so
right.
there's definitely a line that we need to draw with ourselves and be honest with ourselves about. Yeah, that's true.
Right. And so, not to say that you can't address it in every, you can be very intentional with everything you buy, for sure, to a certain extent. If you have one option for where to get electricity from, then whatever that company does, you kind of just have to accept it unless you're going to live off the grid. So things like that. But it's really just, what is your line? And just, are you willing to say that one I'm okay with? This one is less good. Is somebody laying off their employees more acceptable than chocolate slavery? Probably. But it's just a personal decision, that kind of thing, Mm-hmm. So I don't know. That's I mean, that's a lesson we continually have to remind ourselves of. But
Yeah.
100%, this year just continued to give us more examples of these things, especially with Wizards of the Coast laying off like 1,300 people, but then like in their actual reports, Wizards of the Coast and Magic the Gathering specifically is the most profitable area of Hasbro.
Yep.
Is just so frustrating.
Yes.
So,
Well,
man,
and
it's just
again,
the
and to kind of
worst.
bring this back around to you, I won't be surprised if a lot of that is people they thought they could replace with AI, you know, and just be like, hey, people who write flavor text, done. You know, our writers for lore, done. We're focusing on different IPs anyway, so we don't need lore writers anymore.
Right,
Things
well, the
like
lore
that.
already
Like,
exists. We'll just take it from the games or whatever.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I've got one more lesson for us.
Cool.
And it's similar, it's related. I mean, we talked about Lorcana and stuff, but apparently there's still space in the big TCG arena. That there, Lorcana hasn't overtaken Magic. I mean, it's still
No.
brand new. It's not I don't know if that'll ever happen, but it's competing. They underestimated how much they, the demand for their game, but it's not like it's just it's not the One Piece card game. It's not Grand Archive, they have their audiences, not trying to disparage the audience or the card game. I'm just saying that they are far beneath Magic, and Lorcana has outpaced those even in its very first, set. And so there's still space out there. And I'm really hoping Ravensburger recognizes that they have a huge opportunity to be the anti Wizards of the Coast. They so far have been pretty good in their business practices, as far as like the ethics of it.
Yeah.
And I hope they continue to do so and see, hey, people don't like it when you just fire people in the card game that they like. So let's not do that. Let's be much more, thoughtful about how we proceed here.
Magic fatigue is a real thing right now, and I know a lot of people who have at least picked up Lorcana as a second game, if not, in my case, pretty much replaced Magic with Lorcana. And not only is it something that's been funny to see is the amount of people ahead of time that were like, this game's trash, I don't want to even look at it, it's garbage, who are then looking at the game and been like, okay, Disney's dumb, but also that's a pretty good game. Like, the game's actually pretty well made, and it is. It's a really well balanced, fun game. Like, it's a good game, and so it's been interesting to see the amount of people just kind of coming around on it. I will say that we finally have the product like normal, real product now. You can just walk in and buy Lorcana packs now.
4 months after it came out.
Right. The individual boosters are a little pricey sometimes, so I like to buy it by the box when I can. But it's a real regular TCG now, and it's super fun. And I love our game nights because people get extra points if they wear Disney paraphernalia. So
Sure,
you'll get people coming in with Mad Hatter hats or Mickey ears or whatever else. It's a ton of fun. It is.
Yep.
All right. My last lesson for 2023. Marvel isn't inevitable. And we kind of learned that with Phase 4 over the past few years, but now even with them getting a little bit back on track with like Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was quite good, and the Marvels was mixed popularity, but people are just feeling that Marvel fatigue. And for a while we thought this was going to be the thing that was around forever, but I don't know that it is.
It's not going away.
No, not going away. But is it going to be around forever?
No. Well, it was never going to be around forever. That was
a lot of people thought it would be.
I mean, I don't think its ultimate length has been affected. I actually think that it will, based on their recent decisions. Let's slow things down. Deadpool 3 is the only movie coming out next year. They've still got some shows that are coming out because they're probably already completed, and in the work, Echo is coming out, things like that. But based on the fact that they do seem to be saying, oh wait, yeah, we kind of messed up. We can't just expect everybody to give us all their money every time we put out something that people expect quality. We might have burned the goodwill after Endgame. I think maybe because they're making that choice, it might extend things. They might last longer than they would have had they continued down the path they were going. But yes, you're right. Like it's actually a great place to be in from from the audience standpoint of cool, awesome. If you enjoy the MCU like I do, then this actually probably means it's going to get better, hopefully. I mean, that's the hard part about talking about this, is that it's all subjective.
Yep.
Really, because every single movie, it really, if you like it, you like it, and if you don't like it, you don't like it. It doesn't really matter what the box office or, you know, audience Rotten Tomatoes or whatever. Like, it doesn't really matter.
Not to the
You
audience,
just like a
but
movie.
to the bottom line, yes.
That's what it is that they are seeing, okay, the Marvels didn't make as much money as we wanted it to,
Right.
and so therefore we have to read us in, even though even in the audience score it has like an 80 something. Like, it's got a pretty good reception from people who watched it. It just didn't make the money, and so, but without the money they're not going to continue. And so how do you handle that, especially when some of the reaction to those movies like the Marvels is misogynistic and things like that, where it's like, okay, so do we just decide not to make female-led movies because it didn't make as much money? Or do we say, well, they won't make as much because of this audience, but we like these characters and we'll continue? You know, The Marvels, I thought, was a well-written movie. Like, it was fun and entertaining and also a decent, like, script. And so, I don't know, there's just so much that I don't envy Kevin Feige or, you know, just the people in charge of putting this all together, because they did so well and got a little lucky, I think, but did so well for a while. And now they actually, I don't know, I'm not saying they didn't try before, but it's like, oh, we have to reassess.
That is one of the, I said I don't remember any of our previous lessons. I do now remember one. I think it was either 2021s or 2022s. I said that Marvel's success has kind of been a fluke because there have been like 30 other shared universes that have tried to jump, and none of them has succeeded.
None. Yeah.
And so Marvel,
except for the Arrowverse, I think the Arrowverse has been the most successful.
Right. That's true. Cinematic universe, I'll say.
Yeah, sure.
But I maybe fluke's the wrong word, because they put a lot of work into it. Like, they did a fantastic
doesn't mean
job.
There are lots of great movies in there.
Right. But at the same time, it's not an easy formula that you can just say, you like this thing, so if I make a lot of it, you'll like all of it. You know, like, there's got to be a lot of
if I mention this other character in this second movie, then therefore it's better. No, that's not how it works. A cameo from Superman doesn't make you know, Black Adam better. Black Adam was a garbage movie.
It was so bad. I think I like it less than critics liked it. It was awful.
It was a bad movie.
If you enjoyed it, that's great. I'm glad. I'm genuinely glad that you enjoyed it. I thought it was laughably bad. The Rock was awful in it.
He is not a serious actor, and he tried to be serious man.
Yes.
He is a fun comic relief.
He needs to be that, right? I just watched Moana with my family on New Year's
He's a very
Eve.
charismatic man.
When you try to take all his charisma and all his fun away and just make him be strong guy, oh, it was so bad. Anyway, we're getting off track here.
It's a whole thing. Yeah.
The point being, though, that I think that at the same time, Marvel is not of their own fault, but kind of shoot themselves in the foot, in as much as they take an actor, they put them in one of their movies, and because now that actor is a character in one of their movies, that actor's like rep and value shoots up through the roof.
Sure.
And now they need to sign that actor on for more movies and more things. And
whoever could you be talking about? And
that means that now those movies need to make that much money to be able to make that worth it,
to continue making that. Yeah.
And so they figure, well, why, let's go quantity over quality and just make a lot of movies and hope that it makes that. And so it's tough. It's sort of a catch-22 almost. I think you're right. I think your whole mindset of make one movie in 2024, see how it goes, and let's go from there.
Well, that's what they're doing.
Right.
That is what they're choosing. And Deadpool, I think, is a really great choice, because Deadpool sells.
Yes.
And they can this could be the movie where they talk about this in the movie. They could straight up say, oh, those, you know, phase 5, not great. That kind of like they could have them and it would make perfect sense. And they could say that's why we're going to the Fox universe because we need to leave this behind.
Yeah.
That kind of like they could very easily talk about this. They're gonna bring back Elektra, like original Elektra, which is a weird choice. Look, but it's Deadpool, so it could really work because they could say that movie was terrible, but now you're great in this movie, like things like that. And so I think it's a very smart movie to continue producing.
Agreed. I mean, the movie itself is
a good reset.
Is almost a meme, right? Like bringing Elektra back is a meme, and
it's
bringing
a joke.
Wolverine back, what's his name? Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman,
meme.
yes.
Like, yeah, and I love it.
Right.
It's wonderful. Deadpool's the right movie to do that with. Okay, that's all the lessons I have.
Samesies.
Well, guys, we're not gonna call it. Let's talk about what we've been up to.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Yeah. Hey, I've got some good movies to talk about. I went and saw Godzilla -1.
Okay.
Which it's been a while since we've done a podcast. I watched it a couple weeks ago, but it was very, very good.
Yeah, I had a ton of things I want to talk about. I had to narrow it down to 3, but yeah.
Yeah, Godzilla -1. First of all, the title of the movie refers to the fact that World War II brought Japan down to 0, basically, like literally like demilitarized them, and then like,
Why, what
national well, watch the movie. Like national morale was at a super low, like they just had nothing. And then Godzilla attacks. And it's now Japan is at minus, they're at negative.
Yeah.
It's not just like bad, it's real, it's worse than it could be. So anyway, it was I think I read that Godzilla is in the movie. It's like almost 2 hours, and he's in the movie for like 9 minutes. Like it is a drama. It is a drama with Godzilla in it.
Now, is this in the lore of Godzilla versus Kong type stuff? Like, is that in the same...
No.
Okay.
No, it's not the MonsterVerse. This is a Japanese movie that has been released in America.
Oh, okay.
It is, aside from the I mean, it doesn't even matter. Like there's not really any other movie that it's relevant to. You don't have to watch anything else. Like, which is basically how every Godzilla movie is, aside from the MonsterVerse movies. All of them are just movies about this monster, basically. But yeah, it's a drama about like the horrors of war, the cycle of violence of war, and like this movie is just about coming back from such a terrible place and seeking to live more than it is about wanting vengeance or do you remember in The Last Jedi when they tried to have Rose like kind of portray this idea of we want to see good happen rather than be the defeat and kill, and it just didn't work. It was so stupid. Like it just was conveyed in a really terrible, clunky way. This movie essentially brings that message, but in a way that really works. Like the value of life more important than the honor of victory in violent conflict, things like that. And so it was so good. Also visually incredible, like just like clearly intentionally trying to kind of remind you of a 1950s Godzilla movie whilst also being one made in 2022 or whatever it was made, 2023. And like it was so, I highly recommend watching it. It was incredibly good.
All right, Godzilla -1. There's a lot of movies that I need to watch, and I keep forgetting about, literally forgetting about.
Mm-hmm.
I listened to an audio production, is what I'll call it, called Third Eye.
Oh yeah,
if you
Felicia Day thing.
If you don't know what Third Eye is, think of it like an old radio show back in the day. It has Felicia Day, Sean Astin, Will Wheaton. It's all narrated by Neil Gaiman, and it's about a classic fantasy. There's the evil bad guy, the BBEG, wants to cast the spell at the nexus of magic so that he can take over the world, but the chosen one is going to be the prophecy. The chosen one's going to go and defeat him. And in this, that's the beginning of it. And the chosen one fails. And the bad guy wins. And then it's like 30 years later, and they've been living under the bad guy's reign for 30 years, and everybody hates the chosen one who survived. And they all there's an annual shaming ceremony of her and things like that. Like, it is classic Felicia Day self-deprecating humor, classic guild type, again, style comedy, whatever. If you never got into Felicia Day's comedy, you will hate this.
Sure.
It has a date stamped on it of 2004. And
yeah.
Even I, who really enjoy that style of comedy and really enjoy her style, whatnot, I'm sometimes like, okay, we can fast forward. Come on, let's get through this part. The acting, I will say, other than like, there's a couple of stellar actors. Neil Gaiman is spectacular. Neil Gaiman crushes it. Felicia Day and Sean Astin, other than that, are probably the best actors in this. And Sean Astin's a great actor. I'm not going to take away from Sean Astin. Felicia Day has never been the best actress on the planet. I love her to death, but it actually goes down from there, unfortunately. Like, a lot of the voice acting is just, again, in my opinion. But the story is fun. The story's unique. It's super entertaining. There's a lot of decent comedy in there. Again, if you like that style of humor, it's actually great. I've laughed out loud a lot of times. If you like The Guild or Firefly or a lot of the Felicia Day, Eureka, a lot of that Felicia Day style comedy era of comedy, you will enjoy this. If you don't specifically like that, it's not going to be great. It's not going to be great.
It's kind of the vibe I've gotten from just what I've looked at it. Like, probably not for me. I like The Guild, but I didn't have to pay for The Guild. So
right. Well, I got this. I will say this. I got it with our Audible free, like, monthly free book, and it was worth every penny.
I watched a movie called Past Lives. Came out just recently, a couple weeks ago, I think. It's from A24. Excellent studio. I would make a lot of great indie movies. Great. A lot of their movies are like weird and, sci-fi or horror. This was just a straight across the plate drama. Like, not as in like straight normal whatever boring, but like just a drama, which I don't think they do a whole lot of. But the idea is two childhood friends, in Korea, are essentially like clearly, they're like on the verge of dating and kind of arranged to get together by their parents a little bit, but also do really like each other and all this. But then the girl, her family moves to America, and they reconnect 10 years later or 14 years later or something, just over the internet, just like somehow get in contact. One of them, saw the other on Facebook or something and was like, oh yeah, and get in contact. And the movie essentially is about that, like, love you had for somebody way back when, and now you're 14 years older, and then you're 28 years older, and you cross paths, and how do you, reconnect, and one of them gets married, and how does that affect the relationship? And just like, it is a extremely good drama in that you understand everybody's like feelings and opinions and like, that like lost love kind of thing. It was extremely good. It was just this engrossing, very simple drama that I really enjoyed. There's really not much else to say about it because it's not like a complicated movie. I don't have to talk about the visuals. It's just a drama, just a relationship drama, which usually is not really my forte, but I loved this one.
What'd you say it was called?
It's called Past Lives.
Past Lives. There it is.
Yes. Past Lives.
Man.
Cool. I recommend it for sure.
All right. I read a book called Reign of Gold. This was a book very, very unlike my typical style of reading. It was, calling it historical fiction isn't the right genre. It is a guy named Victor Villaseñor, and he had been his entire life told the history of his family. And so it's him retelling the history of his family, but from like an omniscient, present perspective of it. So
Sure.
he obviously has to make up a lot of what actually happened, the actual words and phrases and conversations that people had. He had to make all of that up. But it is, other than that, it's his family history. And the reason that I read it was because my mom heavily recommended it to me, because it was the story of two families that were there for Mexico then becoming America, in the area that happened with us, with my family. And also part of it also takes time like around the bootlegging era, when there wasn't really law in the Southwest, and therefore a lot of people had to almost create their own law. And it showed how a lot of like different gangs and stuff popped up. And it's just this fascinating look into not only American history, but more specifically Mexican American history, told from a real story, like not just fiction, like an actual real story.
Sure.
And it all begins with the natives who lived near a gold mine that the Spaniards kept exploiting. And the book itself, because it was not my style of book in general, took me a long time to read. And that, I think that can be my biggest critique of it, was saying that it just kind of wasn't my style. If you like historical fiction, you're going to love this. You're going to think it's fantastic.
Sure. Yeah.
I personally struggled with it sometimes because, you know, they would introduce a character, and because I see patterns, because I have ADD, and because I really, really like fiction, I will be like, oh, that guy's going to do this, or that guy's going to do that, or whatever else. And then like 5 chapters later, that guy's just a guy. And I have to remind myself, right,
This is real life.
This is real life. And most of the time in real life, people are just people, and they're
People
not
are
going to do
not-
anything
yes.
exciting or whatever. Like, we're not building up to then have a climactic action, to have a falling action, to have heroes rise or all this other stuff. We're just telling the story of what happened. And
This is totally unrealistic. There was no wise sage.
right.
And I don't understand how that person could.
And that was absolutely my, like, I critique myself for having that critique. Like, I had critiques on it that were 100% unfair and dumb, and it is really a spectacular book. It just, again, my only real critique can be, it just wasn't my style of book. Other than that, it was spectacular. I loved it. What I really loved about it is, by the end of it, I was being reminded of something I grew up with, that because I'm much more engrossed in American culture, I've kind of lost, but the Mexican passion for life and for beauty and everything. And then because they were so deeply Catholic, the immediate response to thank God for those things, from everything to whiskey, and just, they love it, man, and how good it is. And it's bootlegged, and so they don't get it that often. When they do get it, oh man, this is so, so great. And like, just, or the sunrise, the fact that the sun rose is something that God is thanked for literally, I don't know, 20, 30 times in the book.
Yeah, consistently.
And so it's just like, it kind of reignited the spark within me, just to be so thankful for all the beauty in my life, but not just thankful in like a general sense and a meditative sense, but to be specifically thankful to God for these things.
Cool. Sounds good.
It was so cool. Yeah. Very, very cool.
Faith might really love that. She's a big fan of memoirs or whatever, that kind of thing. Yeah. So I platinumed, I completed Dredge.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Man, I gotta play it so bad.
It is a very, very fun game. It's an extremely well executed, simple concept. Hey, what if you operate a fishing boat and you're a fisherman and you drive around and fish and can upgrade your ship and all these things, but also there's just kind of this weird, unnerving feeling about the place you are fishing in.
But in a Lovecraftian world,
everything's a little off from the fish you cut. Sometimes the fish you catch look weird, and also the people you meet have this weird tone about them, and everything's just a little. Sometimes you just see beneath your ship a big old shadow swim by, things like that. And it was extremely well executed, and like they had this idea and they said that's great. Let's not try to overblow. Let's not try to make such a huge expansive game with this concept, because I'll say it's not a downside to the game. It's a downside to my tendency to want to get the platinum trophy on everything, is that the more you play the game, the more unsurprising things become. And that really only happens when you play it to an extent where, like, because I'm trying to get the platinum, I've got to go everywhere and do everything and get all the fish. And so at a certain point, it's not about trying, like, finding these weird fish. It's just, okay, the odds are I need to do this statistically. If I go here and drop the right thing and get the right I'm just like looking at it numbers wise, and oh, good, I got, like, I'm just checking off the list rather than saying, wow, that fish is weird, or that, that character is strange. It's just cool. I did the thing. I checked it off the list. So that's, again, not a downside of the game, just a downside of my tendency to want to do that for games. The game itself, excellent, very well made. It's technically an open world, but it's nowhere near the size you would expect an open world, like when we say open world. But you can just go anywhere. Different places have different types of fish. You need different types of gear to catch certain things. There's lots of little surprises that show up, and characters that are creepy, and things like that. And has an ending to the game also, where like you're looking for these certain artifacts.
Several endings.
A couple. There's two. Technically two. Oh. Yeah. But I do highly recommend it. I would like to play more of it. I like another one. I know there's some DLC I haven't gotten to yet, but I would like another one. But I only want them to create another one if they have like a way to expand on the idea without, kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of saturating, or like just kind of demystifying the concept. Right. And if they can't do that, then don't do it.
They kept the mechanics very simple, so that way the world itself has more of an impact on you.
Exactly. It's a real sense, like when you're catching a fish, you're just doing a little mini game. You don't really, like, it's skill based, but it's not like difficult in any sense of, it's pretty, and plus there's plenty of like accessibility options. If I'm saying it's not difficult, but that's based on my own personal abilities. So there's plenty of accessibility, things like that. It's a very fun game, and it does get pretty creepy, like when you go too late into the night or haven't slept in too long, and you'll start to see things and hear things that aren't there. Or are they? Yeah, exactly. And it's just like really, really fun and good. It's like horror light, which is perfect for me. Where it's like, this is creepy, but I'm not staying up at night,
For me, the biggest compliment I can give a game like that is I have watched 2 full playthroughs of it and still want to play it.
Still want to play it.
Yeah.
It was really fun.
All right. My last one is the one that I want to heap accolades on. Want to like just stay in love with forever. I watched the Netflix series Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. Scott Pilgrim Takes Off is a retelling of the Scott Pilgrim story, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World story, but animated this time.
Sure.
And the wonderful part of it is that Michael Cera is back as Scott Pilgrim. And
all the cast, really.
The entire cast, including Superman and Captain America and Captain Marvel. Like they got the big names back too. I was shocked with. They got all these people back to do the voices for all the characters from the movie, which I love the movie. It's incredible. I've read the manga. It's also incredible. But here's, I'm going to try and not give away too much, because part of the delight is being surprised.
Yes. I've read that it goes in a direction you would not expect.
In episode 1, everything goes exactly, almost frame for frame as the manga, until Scott gets in his very first fight, which he loses. And then it goes from there.
Okay.
It's so good.
I like that. Recontextualize,
And it even goes into the, hey, was Scott Pilgrim really the hero we all wanted him to be? Or was he kind of a dirtbag? And hey, what about his relationship with Ramona? Like, that happened pretty fast. Did they actually care? Is that like a good love story that we like? Like it goes into a lot of these things, and oh, it's so good. It's
Yeah,
so
being able
good.
to re-examine your own story with the same story is such a cool. It's like a fun idea. That's what I think a remake is supposed to do. It should do.
It creates redemption arcs for so many characters. It brings back so many other. It's incredible. It's wonderful. It really, really is. I cannot recommend it enough. Especially, of course, watch Scott Pilgrim versus the World first, which is also on Netflix. But both spectacular, absolutely worth it. I'm trying to find time to watch Scott Pilgrim versus the World with my daughter, so then we can then watch the Scott Pilgrim Takes Off together as well. It's outstanding. All right, that's all I got.
Same.
Well, hey, then I'm going to say thank you very much, everybody, for listening. We're so glad I had each and every one of you today. Thank you to those in the chat for jumping in, saying hi, and putting in your thoughts. For those of you who don't know, we live stream this every time, and then afterward, we were able to let this go onto YouTube or hopefully someday onto your podcatchers. But if you want to come join the conversation, you come join us at SavePoint or twitch.tv/SavePointMin. I also want to say a really big thank you to Granger for the use of our theme song, All My Friends Have Wi-Fi, and so do most of my neighbors, off of the album Dear Sam. Granger slaps.
They're lit and they hit, and anyway,
fire.
Yeah, thanks for supporting. The Nerdy Gritty is a small part.
W-Riz is a thing.
Sure,
W-Riz.
They have Riz.
They have that W-Riz.
What's the W-Riz? What's that mean?
I don't know. My daughter says it all the time, though.
Riz just means it's part of, like, they have charisma. It's
charisma, yes. But W-Riz is the best kind. I think it's like winning Riz.
Hey, how old are we? I turned 33 recently.
I'm going to be 41 in 10 days.
Immediately, actually old now. Anyway, hey, the Nerdy Gritty is a small part of Save Point Ministries, something Steve founded, and I am actually on the director, or the what's the term? The board?
Yes, it is winning. The W and W-Riz is winning.
Good to know. Like something I should never say because I will reveal my age.
The W-Riz, man.
That's okay. I'm 33. I don't care about being old. Anyway, so it's part of Save Point Ministries, and the whole purpose of Save Point Ministries is to connect people who are online and have a community there, but don't have one in real life. We love an online community. We're fans of being online and having people we talk to and all that, but we do firmly believe in the power and necessity of real life in interaction and actual people that we know and talk to, and so Save Point Ministries exists to make that happen. So if you are part of this community here, we love that, and we would love to connect you to an in-person real life community, specifically at a church, or whatever, that is kind of the capacity we're looking at. And so we'd love for you to be there. But if there is something, if you are missing that, please let us know. Come talk to us. Send us a message, because we would love to connect you to a church that just would love to have you there, even if you love all these nerdy things, and not even if, because you love all these nerdy things.
Yeah, nerd-friendly churches. That's what
we want to connect you with people who love the things you love.
That's right.
So thank you for being here.
Thanks again for listening, guys, and always remember that saved games save lives.
Bye.
And we're back. Looks like we didn't have any chat comments today, which is no problem. So we are going to call this an actual stream as well. One more reminder for those of you here in our chat that if you want to join our Discord, keep this conversation going. The link is in the chat right now. We love that each and every one of you are here today, but always remember that there's a church out there that would love it if you were there. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.